The call came on December 18th, exactly 1 week before Christmas. I was in my corner office at Meridian Capital, reviewing quarterly portfolio reports, when Dad's name lit up my phone screen. "Emma, we need to talk about Christmas," he began, his tone already apologetic in that way that meant the decision had already been made. I set down my pen. "What about it?" "Your mother's hosting some very important business partners. The Harrisons. They're traditional, conservative people. Major potential investors for her firm." He paused. "It would be better if you stayed away this year." The words hung in the air between us. Not "could you skip this year," or "would you mind?" Better if I stayed away. Like I was a problem to be managed. "I see," I said quietly. "You understand, don't you? Anderson and Associates is at a critical growth phase. Your mother needs this investment. The Harrisons are very particular about family values and traditional structures." His voice dropped. "Having you there with your lifestyle choices might give them the wrong impression." My lifestyle choices. He meant the fact that I was single, child-free by choice, and had turned down their endless attempts to set me up with appropriate young men from their country club. The fact that I'd chosen a career in finance instead of something more suitable. The fact that I'd refused to join Mom's consulting firm and instead built my own path. What they didn't know, what they'd never bothered to ask about, was exactly how successful that path had become. "Emma, are you still there?" "I'm here. So you understand? It's just this one Christmas. Next year will be different. Once the Harrison deal closes, things will settle down." I understood perfectly. I understood that I'd been deemed an embarrassment. An inconvenience. Something to be hidden away when important people were watching. "Dad. I understand." "Wonderful. Your mother will be so relieved. She's been stressed about this for weeks." He actually sounded grateful. "We'll do something in January, just the three of us. I promise." After he hung up, I sat very still in my leather chair, looking out at the Chicago skyline. 20 floors below, holiday shoppers crowded Michigan Avenue. Somewhere in the suburbs, my parents were preparing their perfect home for their perfect Christmas with their perfect business partners. I opened my laptop and pulled up my investment portfolio dashboard. There, buried among dozens of holdings, was a line item most people would never notice. Anderson and Associates Consulting LLC Silent Partner Investment $3.3 million equity stake 40% ownership. I'd made the investment 3 years ago, routed through so many shell companies and investment vehicles that even forensic accountants would struggle to trace it back to me. Mom had been desperately seeking capital to expand into the Northeast market. Traditional banks had turned her down. Then a mysterious private equity firm had appeared with an offer. $3.3 million for 40% equity with one condition: complete anonymity. The investor wanted no board seat, no public acknowledgement, no involvement in operations. Mom had been so grateful she'd cried. I'd watched her sign the papers at a coffee shop 3 blocks from her office, her hands shaking with relief. She had no idea I was the 26-year-old daughter she'd always dismissed as still figuring things out, sitting in a corner booth, watching through dark sunglasses. That investment had saved her firm, funded her expansion, paid for the fancy new office downtown and the 5 additional consultants she'd hired. The Harrison deal she was so desperate to close? That was only happening because my money had stabilized her operations enough to look attractive to larger investors. I picked up my phone and called Marcus Webb, my portfolio manager at Sterling Investment Group. "Emma, good afternoon. What can I do for you?" "Marcus, I need you to initiate withdrawal proceedings for the Anderson and Associates position. All equity. I want clean exit paperwork ready by December 23rd. There was a pause. "That's a performing asset, Emma. Strong returns, stable growth trajectory. Are you sure?" "Completely sure." "May I ask why?" "If there's a performance issue we should discuss." "It's not about performance. It's personal. Can you have the paperwork ready?" "Of course. I'll coordinate with legal. The withdrawal will trigger the buyback clause in the investment agreement. At current valuation, you're looking at approximately $4.1 million return on your $3.3 million investment." "Perfect. Send the notice on December 23rd at 5 p.m. Not before." "Understood. I'll handle it personally." I hung up and returned to my work. The decision was made. I felt nothing but a strange, cold clarity. The next week passed normally. I worked. I attended holiday parties with colleagues. I bought gifts for my actual friends, the people who'd never once made me feel like I needed to hide who I was. On December 22nd, my assistant confirmed my Christmas plans. A ski trip to Aspen with 3 college friends who'd become my chosen family. My phone stayed silent. No call from Mom checking in. No text from Dad suggesting that January dinner. They'd gotten what they wanted. A Christmas free from the embarrassment of their disappointing daughter. On December 23rd at 4:55 p.m., I was packing for my flight when Marcus called. Emma, the withdrawal notice has been sent. Anderson and Associates legal team will receive it in 5 minutes. Thank you, Marcus. One thing you should know, the buyback clause requires immediate action. Since the firm can't produce $4.1 million in liquid capital within 30 days, they'll be forced to either find emergency investors or sell significant company assets. The timing right before the Harrison deal. I'm aware of the implications. Understood. Happy holidays, Emma. At exactly 5 p.m. I pictured the email arriving. The law firm representing the anonymous investor, requesting immediate buyback of all equity per the original investment agreement. I imagined Mom's phone lighting up with panicked messages from her lawyer. I didn't have to wait long. At 5:47 p.m., Dad called. I let it go to voicemail. At 6:03 p.m. Mom called. Voicemail. At 6:15 p.m., Dad again. Voicemail. At 6:28 p.m. Mom sent a text. Emma, something terrible has happened with the firm. I know it's last minute but we really need to talk. Can you call me? I turned off my phone and finished packing. Christmas Eve morning, I was at O'Hare waiting for my flight when I finally turned my phone back on. 17 missed calls. 12 voicemails. 23 texts. I scrolled through the messages watching my parents' panic escalate in real time. Dad, 6:52 p.m. December 23rd. Emma, your mother is very upset. Please call when you can. Mom, 7:18 p.m. December 23rd. A major investor is pulling out of the firm. Everything is falling apart. I need to talk to you. Dad, 8:34 p.m. December 23rd. This is serious, Emma. Your mother might lose the business. Can you please just call us back? Mom, 9:47 p.m. December 23rd. The Harrisons canceled Christmas. They heard about the investor withdrawal and now they think the firm is unstable. I'm scared. 20 years of work might be gone. Dad, 11:23 p.m. December 23rd. I know we haven't been fair to you. Your mother is devastated. She's been crying all night. Please just let us know you're okay. Mom, 2:34 a.m. December 24th. I can't sleep. The lawyers are saying we need to liquidate assets or find $4.1 million in 30 days. Emma, you work in finance. Do you know anyone who might help? I'm desperate. I stared at that last message for a long time. You work in finance. Do you know anyone who might help? She still had no idea. I typed a response. I'm traveling for the holidays. We'll be out of touch. Hope you figure things out. Then I boarded my flight to Aspen. The ski lodge was perfect. My friends, Rachel, Marcus, and Jennifer, had the penthouse suite ready with champagne, a decorated tree and zero judgment about my family situation. You actually did it, Rachel said, handing me a glass. You pulled your investment. I did. How do you feel? I considered the question. Honest. For the first time in years I feel honest. We spent Christmas Day on the slopes, then around a fireplace with good wine and better company. My phone stayed mostly silent, buried in my coat pocket. I checked it once in the evening. Mom, 10:15 a.m. December 25th. Merry Christmas, sweetheart. I hope you're having a good day wherever you are. Things are very difficult here. The Harrison deal is completely dead. They invested with Whitmore Consulting instead. Your father and I are trying to figure out our next steps. I might have to let staff go. Please call when you can. Dad, 3:47 p.m. December 25th. Your mother spent Christmas crying. I've never seen her like this. She worked so hard to build that firm. I don't know how to help her. If you know anyone in your finance world who might be interested in investing, even a smaller amount, please let us know. We're running out of options. I put the phone away and rejoined my friends. We watched old movies and laughed until midnight. It was the best Christmas I'd had in years. I returned to Chicago on December 28th. My office had that quiet end-of-year feeling. Skeleton staff, muted energy, everyone counting down to New Year's. My assistant greeted me with a stack of messages. Your parents have called 6 times. They said it's urgent. Thank you, Andrea. Hold all calls from them, please. Of course. I spent the morning reviewing year-end reports. At 2 p.m. Marcus Webb called. Emma Anderson and Associates lawyers have been reaching out. They're requesting a meeting with the investor to discuss payment terms. What are they proposing? Extended timeline, partial equity retention, future profit sharing. Basically anything to avoid the full buyback. They're desperate. Decline all proposals. Standard buyback terms only. 30-day deadline stands. Understood. One more thing. They've hired a forensic firm to try identifying the investor. They want to negotiate directly. They won't find anything. The corporate structure is airtight. Agreed. But Emma, they're going to lose the business. At this point, liquidation is almost inevitable. That's not my problem, Marcus. They made their choice about what matters to them. After he hung up, I sat quietly in my office. People probably thought I was being cruel. Maybe I was. But cruelty came in many forms. It came in a father's voice saying, "Better if you stayed away." In a mother prioritizing strangers' opinions over her own daughter's presence. In being deemed an embarrassment to the people who should love you unconditionally. I'd simply showed them the same consideration they'd shown me. December 30th, my office phone rang. Andrea's voice came through the intercom. "Emma, your mother is in the lobby. She doesn't have an appointment, but she's insisting it's an emergency." My finger hovered over the button. Did she say what it's about? "She's crying. Security asked if they should escort her out, but I thought you'd want to know first." I closed my eyes. Took a breath. Send her up. 5 minutes later, my mother walked into my office. I barely recognized her. She'd aged years in 2 weeks. Her hair was uncombed, her designer suit wrinkled, her makeup unable to hide the dark circles under her eyes. "Emma." Her voice broke. "Thank God. I've been trying to reach you. I've been busy. Please, sit down." She collapsed into the chair across from my desk. "The firm is finished. The investor, whoever they are, won't negotiate. We have until January 23rd to produce $4.1 million or we lose everything. The Harrisons invested with our competitor. 3 other potential deals fell through when word got out. I'm going to have to lay off my entire staff and liquidate." "I'm sorry to hear that. Emma, you work at one of the biggest investment firms in Chicago. You must know people. Wealthy people. People who invest in businesses." She leaned forward desperately. "I need help. Just an introduction. A conversation. Anything." I looked at her. Really looked at her. This woman who'd taught me to read, who'd attended every school play, who'd also spent 20 years subtly suggesting I wasn't quite enough. Not successful enough, not conventional enough, not worth including in her perfect Christmas. "Mom, why are you really here?" "What? I just told you." "No. Why are you here in my office asking me for help? 2 weeks ago, you didn't want me at Christmas because I'd embarrass you in front of investors. Now you want me to find you investors." Her face flushed. "That was, your father and I made a mistake. We were wrong." "You were wrong or you're desperate?" "Both." The word burst out. "Both okay? We were wrong. We've always been wrong about you. You've been trying to tell us for years that you're successful, that you've built something real, and we never listened. We were too busy comparing you to some imaginary version of who we thought you should be." Tears streamed down her face. "And now I've lost everything and I'm sitting in your beautiful office begging my daughter for help, and I realize I don't even know what you actually do. What is Meridian Capital? What's your position here?" "I'm a senior portfolio manager. I oversee approximately $847 million in client assets." She stared at me. "What?" "I manage investment portfolios for high-net-worth individuals and institutions. I've been doing it for 4 years. Before that, I was at Goldman Sachs for 2 years." "You never asked." 800. She couldn't even finish the sentence. "Mom, did you ever wonder why I didn't need help with rent? Why I never asked you for money? Why I could afford my Lincoln Park condo on what you assumed was an entry-level salary? I thought you had credit cards. Or you were being irresponsible. You thought I was failing. Because that's what you wanted to think. No. Yes. I kept my voice level. It was easier to dismiss me than to acknowledge that I might be successful in ways you didn't understand or approve of. Easier to uninvite me from Christmas than to defend me to the Harrisons. She was sobbing now. I'm so sorry. Emma, I'm so sorry. Tell me something. If the firm wasn't falling apart, if the Harrison deal had gone through perfectly, would you be here? She looked up at me, mascara running down her cheeks, and I saw the answer in her eyes before she spoke. I don't know, she whispered. God help me, I don't know. At least she was honest. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a folder. Inside was the complete investment documentation for Anderson and Associates. Every contract, every transaction, every corporate entity in the chain. Mom, I need to show you something. I laid the papers out one by one. Her eyes tracked across the pages, confused at first, then widening as the pieces came together. These are my investment documents. From 3 years ago. She looked up. Why do you have copies of? Then she saw it. Buried in the corporate structure, traced through 5 shell companies and 2 investment vehicles, was a name, Emma J. Anderson, beneficial owner. The color drained from her face. No, she whispered. No, that's not, you can't be. The anonymous investor who saved your firm 3 years ago. The one who just pulled $4.1 million out from under you. The one who's about to force you into liquidation. I paused. That's me, Mom. It's always been me. She stood up so fast her chair toppled backward. You did this. You destroyed my business? Your own mother's company. I invested in a business opportunity. Then I withdrew my investment when the situation no longer aligned with my values. Just business, Mom. Nothing personal. Nothing personal? Her voice cracked. You're destroying 20 years of my work. You're putting 15 people out of jobs. I'm doing exactly what you taught me. Putting business first. Making hard decisions. Prioritizing what matters most. I met her eyes. You taught me that some things are more important than family. The Harrisons were more important than your daughter. Traditional appearances were more important than your child's presence at Christmas. So I'm simply showing you what that philosophy looks like from the other side. She sank back into her chair, her hand over her mouth. Please. I'll do anything. We'll make it right. You'll what? Uninvite me from next Christmas too? Tell me to stay away from Easter because you have important guests. I shook my head. Mom, you can't make this right. You can't undo the message you sent. That when it mattered, when you had to choose between your business ambitions and your daughter, you chose the business. So now I'm choosing too. Please. He was begging now. The money you invested, I can pay it back. Over time. I'll set up a payment plan. You have until January 23rd to produce $4.1 million. Those are the terms. The same terms you agreed to 3 years ago when you desperately needed capital and thought you were getting it from strangers who'd never hold you accountable. But I'm your mother. Exactly. You're my mother. And you uninvited me from Christmas because I was an embarrassment. The office fell silent. Outside, Chicago glittered in the winter afternoon, indifferent to our pain. Finally, Mom stood. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. I never wanted you to hurt like this, she said quietly. Whatever you think, whatever we did wrong, I never wanted you to feel like you weren't enough. But I did feel like that. For years. And 2 weeks ago you confirmed every fear I've ever had, that your love was conditional. That I had to earn my place in the family. That business would always matter more than me. What do I do now? The same thing anyone does when their investor pulls out. You find new capital, you liquidate assets, or you close the business. It's just business, right? Nothing personal. She walked to the door, then turned back one last time. Was it worth it? Destroying everything I built just to prove a point. I could ask you the same question. Was the Harrison deal worth losing your daughter? She didn't answer. Just walked out, her heels clicking softly on the marble floor. New Year's Eve, I was at Rachel's apartment for a small party when my phone rang. I stepped onto the balcony to take the call. Emma, we need to talk. Dad. Your mother told me everything. What you did. The investment. All of it. His voice was tight with controlled anger. How could you? You're destroying her life's work out of spite. Over one Christmas. It wasn't about one Christmas. It was about 26 years of being treated like I don't quite measure up. That's not fair. We've always supported you. You supported the version of me you wanted. The one who'd join mom's firm, marry a country club lawyer, give you grandchildren, and fit neatly into your perfect family portrait. But that's not who I am. And the moment I became inconvenient to your business plans, you erased me. We made a mistake. You made a choice. Choices have consequences. Emma, listen to me. Your mother is talking about selling the house. Our retirement accounts are tied up in the business. We could lose everything. You're going to make your own parents homeless over hurt feelings. Something in his voice made me pause. The house. Dad, that's not necessary. The business assets alone should. The business is leveraged to the hilt. We took out a second mortgage last year to fund the expansion. If the firm goes under, the bank forecloses. We have $180,000 in liquid savings. That's it. I closed my eyes. I'd looked at the business financials but not their personal finances. In my anger, I'd assumed they'd be fine. Emma, please. I'm begging you. You want an apology? You want us to grovel? Fine. We're sorry. We're so sorry. But please don't do this. Don't destroy us. Behind me, Rachel's apartment was full of laughter and music. Ahead of me, midnight approached. A new year, a fresh start. I'll think about it, I said finally. That's all I'm asking. Just think about it. I spent New Year's Day alone in my condo staring at the lake, thinking about revenge and consequences and the price of proving a point. Marcus Webb called in the afternoon. Emma, I wanted to give you an update before the deadline. Anderson & Associates has received 2 buyout offers, both significantly below market value. Your mother would lose everything, but it would satisfy the immediate buyback obligation. What are the offers? $2.1 million and $2.4 million. For a firm that was valued at $8.3 million before the withdrawal announcement. Fire sale prices. Vultures circling. Marcus, if I restructured the deal, what options exist? For keeping the firm operational? You could convert the equity to a long-term loan, reduce the buyback amount, or negotiate a payment plan. Several options depending on your goals. My goals. What were my goals? I'd wanted them to understand what it felt like to be expendable. Mission accomplished. I'd wanted them to face real consequences for treating me like an embarrassment. Also accomplished. But did I want to destroy them completely? Did I want my mother's employees, people who'd never hurt me, to lose their jobs? Did I want my parents to lose their home? Marcus, set up a meeting with Anderson & Associates legal team. For January 3rd. To negotiate terms? Yes. New terms. The meeting took place in a conference room at Sterling Investment Group. Mom's lawyers arrived first, looking exhausted and desperate. Then Mom herself walked in, flanked by Dad. She looked shocked to see me sitting at the head of the table. You're the investor representative? I'm the investor. Have a seat, please. The lead lawyer cleared his throat. Ms. Anderson, we've prepared several proposals for your consideration. Not necessary. I have a proposal of my own. I slid folders across the table. I'm converting my equity stake to a subordinated loan. $3.3 million principal, 4% annual interest, 10-year term. The firm retains full operational control. I have no board seat, no voting rights, no involvement in business decisions. Monthly payments of $33,500 begin February 1st. Mom's lawyer speed read through the documents. This is extremely favorable to Anderson & Associates. Most investors would demand significantly higher rates and more control given the current situation. I'm aware. Do you accept the terms or not? Mom was staring at me, tears streaming down her face. Emma, why? Because destroying you doesn't fix anything. Because 15 people shouldn't lose their jobs over my family issues. Because I'm angry at you, but I'm not cruel. I paused. And because you're my mother. Whether I like it or not. I don't understand. After everything we did. I wanted you to know what it felt like. To be excluded. To watch something you built crumble because someone decided you weren't worth their support. I looked her directly in the eyes. Now you know. Consider the lesson learned. Dad spoke up, his voice hoarse. The monthly payments. We can make those work. The firm is profitable enough to cover that without too much restructuring. I know. I've reviewed your financials very carefully. Mom reached across the table, her hand trembling. Emma, I swear to you we'll make this right. Not just the money, everything. The way we've treated you, the things we've said, the person we failed to see. She was sobbing openly now. You gave me back my life's work when you could have destroyed it. I don't deserve that kind of mercy. No, you don't. But I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it because this is who I am. Someone who doesn't burn down the world just because I'm hurt. Someone who can be angry and still choose integrity. You didn't teach me that. I learned it despite you. The lawyers finalized the paperwork. Signatures were exchanged. The deal was done. As everyone prepared to leave, Mom stopped at the door. Is there any chance we could talk? Just the three of us. I considered it. The anger was still there, hot and sharp in my chest. But so was something else. A strange, sad understanding that people can love you and still fail you. That hurt doesn't always require destruction. Not today. Maybe not for a while. But eventually, maybe. She nodded, crying too hard to speak, and left. The first payment arrived on February 1st, exactly on time. The second on March 1st. The third on April 1st. In March, I received a card in the mail. Mom's handwriting. Emma, I know you don't want to talk yet, and I respect that. I just wanted you to know that we told the Harrisons no. They came back last month wanting to invest after all, but your father and I declined. Some things are worth more than business deals. I'm learning that. Foley. Love, Mom. In April, Dad sent an email. Your mother enrolled in therapy. We both did, actually. Couples counseling. We're trying to understand where we went wrong, how we let our priorities get so twisted. The therapist asked us to write down what we love about you. The real you, not the version we wanted you to be. I filled 3 pages, Emma. 3 pages of things I've never told you. I hope someday I get the chance to read them to you. Dad. I saved the email but didn't respond. In May, I ran into Mom at a coffee shop downtown. We both froze. Emma. Mom. An awkward silence. How are you? She asked finally. Busy. Year-end reviews at the firm. You. Good. Well, stable. We're managing the payments. Hired a new consultant who's excellent. Things are okay. More silence. Your hair looks nice, I offered. Thank you. Emma, I know you're not ready, but I just want you to know we think about you every day. We're trying to be better. To do better. I nodded. I should go. I have a meeting. Of course. I'm glad I ran into you. Even for this. I left without looking back, but that night I thought about her face. The hope in it. The fear. On what would have been Christmas Eve, I received a package. Inside was a photo album. Emma, you don't have to open this. But if you do, I wanted you to see the parts we forgot to notice. All the moments we should have celebrated. All the times you were extraordinary and we were too blind to see it. You don't owe us forgiveness. But you deserve to know that we finally see you. The real you. And she's magnificent. Merry Christmas, sweetheart. Whether you spend it with us or not, you are loved. Mom and Dad. I opened the album. Every page was a memory. My college graduation, their faces beaming. My first apartment, Mom helping me arrange furniture. A promotion I'd mentioned in passing, Dad raising a toast. Moments I'd forgotten or dismissed as meaningless. At the back was a new photo. Mom and Dad at their kitchen table holding a sign. We're sorry. We love you. Come home when you're ready. I cried for the first time since that phone call in December. Not from anger or hurt, but from something more complicated. The recognition that people can change. That love can be broken and maybe slowly rebuilt. I didn't call them that night. Or the next week. Or the next month. But I kept the album. And when February came around, 13 months after that terrible Christmas, I sent a text. Just the 3 of us. No business talk. No expectations. Just coffee. The response came in seconds. Yes. Anytime. Anywhere. We'll be there. Mom and Dad. We met on a Saturday morning. It was awkward. Painful. Full of long silences and careful words. But it was a start. I didn't forgive them that day. Maybe I never would completely. But I learned something important. Revenge can be justified and still feel hollow. Consequences can be deserved and still hurt to enforce. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do isn't destroying someone who hurt you. It's choosing to see if they can rebuild themselves. Mom's firm survived. So did we. Barely. Carefully. With new boundaries and hard truths and the understanding that love alone isn't enough. You need respect too. You need to be seen. And finally, painfully, slowly, they were learning to see me. The real me. Not the embarrassment they hid away. Not the disappointment they managed. But Emma Anderson. Portfolio manager, investor, daughter, human being worthy of a place at the table. Even at Christmas. Especially at Christmas.